Sabaho everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about this guy, the brand new Mate 30 Pro. I'm going to give you guys my initial impressions of this device. Also, some of my thoughts on the fact that, what can we or what is it like experiencing a phone that does not have Google Play services out of the box? Is it still the same, or do we need to basically find a way to get things running? And what are the options that I was able to use to be able to get things working for me? This is TK. Let's talk about the brand new Mate 30 Pro. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified whenever we put out new videos on the channel. So what I have in front of us is three different devices. We're starting off with the Mate 20 Pro, basically one of my favorite devices of 2018 and actually for the most of 2019, since technically I've been using this device ever since it was launched last year as one of my daily driver devices. In the middle we have the P30 Pro that was announced and released earlier this year. Now the P30 Pro still shares some of the similar aesthetics as or basically specifications of the Mate 20 Pro, and that's because they're both running the Kirin 980 as far as the chipset. They basically have a different variation of RAM and so on, but the P line of devices has a special camera, that basically the periscope camera that's built in the back with the RYYB configuration. That was a nice upgrade from what we saw with the Mate 20 Pro. We also noticed one thing here is essentially we saw a downgrade in the size of the notch, and we went basically from a full-size notch because we have a 3D sensor here for face unlock. And we were down to basically a teardrop notch here. But unfortunately, because of the technology that it was implemented for the top earpiece, which is the beneath display technology, so it resonates through, we lost stereo speakers there. We also don't have a 3.5mm headphone jack on any of these devices. We do have basically nice little tapered edges on the side. There's like a little kind of almost a symmetrical look on here on the both on the right and left. And of course the camera setups in the back, the different configuration. All of these devices are carrying multiple cameras, and that's really one of the main benefits here. When we get into the Mate 30 Pro, and that's basically where it learned from both of these devices, and now we can see that the Mate 30 Pro is a lot bigger than the Mate 20 Pro. It actually did not carry the small notch because it's carrying the additional sensors. And you notice there's three little camera holes here, but in reality there's four sensors. We have basically a motion sensor, we have a front-facing camera, as well as basically a light sensor, and last but not least is a 3D sensor similar to the way we had it here on the Mate 20 Pro. We don't have a 3.5mm headphone jack, and we also don't have stereo speakers as the way we had it here, because the Mate 30 Pro learned from the P30 Pro, and we now have the same technology here, which basically is a speaker or resonance speaker under the display that emanates the sound. Still sounds great, you're still able to make and receive calls, or just unfortunately no stereo speakers, but the bottom firing speaker does actually sound pretty well. Now looking on the side, we see that we have a horizon display, and what I mean by this is that this display actually curves a lot more than most other displays, and I'll show you guys a little bit more here. You'll see here there's basically an 88-degree tilt, or kind of like a curvature to the display that goes all the way down here. We also don't have a volume rocker button here, also don't have it right there, and that's because to initiate the volume rocker you actually have to double tap here, and then you have a touch sensitive functional area here that we're using to raise and reduce the volume. And the nice thing is it also works from this side if we can get it to run, and then same thing. It also works in portrait or in landscape mode, so that's also very functional. So as I mentioned to you guys, one of the three sensors here is a motion sensor. So if I put my hand in front of the camera, you're right there, and it does right there where it captures basically a screenshot of the actual screen. You're also able to use it to scroll, and unfortunately those are the only two available things right now. Here's the fingerprint sensor. Let's do it one more time. Fingerprint sensor. We also have the magazine here that you're able to basically use to basically change the different scenes here, depending to your preference. But overall, it works great. We have a front-facing unlock with the 3D sensor. Works very, very fast. We have a support for your Huawei ID, as well as the actual ability of going all the way with dark mode, because this is an OLED panel. So the resolution here is actually almost 1080p, but it is slightly higher. So they call this a 1080p plus. So when you go here to screen resolution, we go here as full HD plus. It's 2400 by 1176. It's the highest resolution that we're able to get here. And of course, we have the smart display on, or smart resolution on, meaning it'll jump between that 1080p to 720p depending on what you're doing to save you battery. We have always on display functionalities here. You can turn it on, and it actually does change throughout the day. So I can turn it on here and say all day, and basically it just stays on. And as the day goes on, it'll change with the time of the day. And again, just giving us all the information that we need. As far as the actual configuration, this is categorized a little bit different than what we saw with EMUI 9.1. I'll link you guys a video comparing EMUI 9.1 actually the EMUI 9.1 on the Honor 20 Pro with EMUI 10 on the P30 Pro. So that's a great video for you guys to check out. As far as biometrics and password, as I mentioned, we have face unlock, fingerprint sensor, and the fingerprint sensor is a little bit lower, more like the one we have on the P30 Pro than it is on the Mate 20 Pro. Jumping onto the apps, we do have the app assistant, and that's going to be basically our games space, so you can go and pick it up, and you can actually have a nice little game launcher that's customized basically to load up whatever games you have. I did load up PUBG as well as Fortnite, and we have the ability of customizing them by actually playing them with controllers, or we also have some soft buttons that we're able to initiate when we get into that, and I'll jump into the game in a second for you guys. But short answer is we do have the ability of basically using a game space, and it works great, and the app assistant is here to be able to use the brand new turbo GPU that we have in here. Although the games have not been optimized specifically for the Kirin 990, since this is what we're running here, it basically does use some of the main benefits of obviously having a very fast 7nm chipset. The battery that we have here is a 4500 milliamp battery that's supposed to be basically one of the biggest batteries that we've had on a Huawei device that is not the Note 10 that was basically released under the Honor brand. So keep that in mind. It does support 40 watt charging as well as 27 watt wireless charging that we have here. And we also still have reverse wireless charging to be able to charge other devices using Qi technology. Now under the home screen and wallpaper, we're able to customize our lock screen, our home screen, the always on display of course. And of course we're able to jump between the drawer style or the standard style. And we no longer have an app drawer button. We basically just have the gesture functionality. So if I go home, I can just swipe up and it takes me straight into the app drawer. And of course, I can go back in here. And of course, you can customize your lock screen signature there. Display and brightness, again, same thing. We can customize the resolution. The dark mode is sitting over here. And of course, you can jump over to the always on display from there. Last but not least, under sound and vibration, we can go in there and customize the different options, more sound options, take us in to be able to see basically the sound options as far as, screenshots and so on. Messaging, volume, all of that good stuff there. The variant that I have with me here, just as a heads up, is the Chinese version of this phone. So just keep in mind, when this is released in the European market, the device may have some smaller difference as far as settings. So just keep that in mind. This is a Chinese variant that has switched over to English because I logged in and I configured it to work that way. Battery, as I mentioned to you guys, security, privacy, digital balance. This is basically their version of the digital well-being is in here. Smart assistant is installed here for high search, smart car, as far as high touch, high vision, and then high voice. Those are their internal ones, but unfortunately, since it only works in Chinese, it's something that I don't have a way of using their smart assistant there. I did end up basically getting Google Play services as well as the Google Play Store, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. System update, basically for a software update, you can go in there. As far as the model number, what we have here essentially is model number LIO-AL00. This is running EMUI 10.0 over Android 10, and of course this is a dual SIM supporting device, which is definitely very nice, and it is running the Kirin 990. Now with that, it does come with 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gig internal storage, and there will be different variants out there that support different storage as well as RAM configuration, specifically the Porsche design model of this phone. The resolution is 2400 by 1176, as I mentioned to you guys, and we are running the September 5th security patch update. So definitely the latest security patch update on this device running Android 10.0. Now I am going to talk to you guys a little bit about the actual applications and how to load applications on this device. Now out of the box, this device comes with the app gallery. The app gallery is Huawei's version of the App Store. So let's go back real quick. That was an ad. And you're able to basically go back one more time, and you're able to basically download and search different things. Now unfortunately, this does not have all of the applications that we normally have in the US. So the other thing I was able to do is obviously load is the Amazon store. Now the Amazon App Store is very functional because this is a store that you don't need any kind of background or Google Play services to run. You have different games, top charts, and basically you can download most of the mainstream applications like Facebook, Twitter, all of that stuff will be present, and you'll be able to download them and update them directly from here. So out of the box, you don't necessarily have to go straight to the Google Play Store, but if you do want to get Google Play services, meaning applications that are Google based, so for the most part, I was able to load most of the applications that I really care mostly about, obviously. So YouTube, I was able to download Gmail, I was also able to download Maps and so on. So that's as far as the aesthetics. Unfortunately, I'm also not able to change the launcher on this. This is actually pretty much the standard EMUI 10.0 launcher, and I installed Nova on this device, but for some reason, when I go into the Nova settings in here, go into Nova settings, press and hold, go into settings, and then we'll go at the bottom where it says select default launcher. You go in here, you see there's camera, gallery, email, PDF, Word document, PDF, everything with the exception of the launcher. And that's because it's not an option to actually change it. So it's because of the Chinese variant. There are methods to be able to get it to run, but out of the box, again, you don't have a way of doing that. Hopefully the European model will have that option for us. The camera itself is actually very nice. It has some nice updates. This is again the latest version of the camera app. Every time you switch, it'll actually put the name of the actual mode that you're in there. So if you have aperture mode, night mode, portrait mode, photo mode, video mode, pro mode, and of course more. The Kirin 990 supports front-facing camera, well, Back-facing sensor is 4K at 60 frames per second. And if we go on the front-facing sensor, we'll go ahead and turn it on. We'll go into the setting. Unfortunately, resolution is still capped at 1080p. So we're using the front-facing sensor right now, and we're basically doing a 1080p video using the front-facing sensor. We don't have a way of going any higher. Again, I always say this, but I hope that we do get at least 1440p or some kind of higher resolution than 1080p. But again, this should be a good example of audio and video and how it should sound on the front-facing camera for the brand new Mate 30 Pro. But again, it should be a good example of how the images in the video will look like. So for a quick audio sample, we're going to be testing out Alex Crendo Jumbo by NCS release. This is a non-copyright song just to test out the bottom fire speaker. We'll go ahead and double tap. And make sure that the volume is set all the way to the highest. Definitely has some nice decibel levels here. That's not going to be by any means a low volume, but unfortunately no stereo speakers because of the new configuration. Overall, as far as the actual usability, again, without having Google Play services on it, I was only barely able to last about half a day, and mostly because of the fact that I'm really dependent on Google Play service, especially for YouTube, managing the channel, and all of the stuff that we have to do, and all of these things are reliant on Google Play. So again, I did end up using an application, a third-party app that basically enabled me to install the Google Play services as well as the Google Play Store, and then from there I was able to log in and download all my applications the way I normally do them. The Amazon App Store, I downloaded straight from Amazon. That's something you can do for any device. There's no requirement. The only thing is you have to obviously be able to have an Amazon account to be able to use it. That's the only requirement. App Gallery came preloaded on the device, and again, once you log in with your Huawei ID, you should be able to basically download and do whatever you'd like. They do generally, between these two, the App Gallery and the Amazon App Store, if you don't need Google Play services type of apps, you should be pretty much set. I think most of the applications will be there. I do want to mention though that Netflix will not work on this version, mostly because this is the Chinese variant. I tried downloading the app straight from their website even, and it does not work. And I've had the similar experience with when I was trying it on the Honor 9X Pro. To be able to control the volume on this when you're playing, the trigger areas are still the same. And you basically initiate it and it launches on the right side and you're able to configure it. One of the really cool things as well is the ability of configuring a right and left trigger. So if I turn those on, it gives me the ability of actually not only using the controller that I normally have on the screen, but it also initiates these two little tabs. You'll notice them right there. There's a blue couple of buttons, and they now function as actual buttons that you can use in the game. It's preferable to turn it on once you're playing the game, so let's go ahead and jump into this one match. But overall, it recommends, and it does actually support the highest resolution, the latest specifications, specifically with this game. We have the ability of turning on uninterrupted gaming, network optimization, game acceleration for the GPU turbo, as well as for obviously for games that are supported. Mistouch prevention for us to be able to touch. You notice I'm touching all of the stuff right here. I'm not connecting anything. And of course, block incoming call and messages, of course, if I want to be able to do that here. And of course, all the features if you'd like to customize. And actually, it does connect to your basically, your Huawei account. We'll give it a second. And you can see right now, basically, I can basically just go around normally. And if I want to be able to aim, I just turn it on and then shoot, and then aim again and go out. So getting in and out of that aiming option becomes very, very functional. And again, I don't have to worry about turning it on. I can just configure it, turn it off, and then if you do want to change it in the middle of the game, you just open it up, go into the actual button and say set position. Again, configurable for any game that you'd like to use it. It's very nice. The only thing that you do need to do is definitely launch the game directly from the game launcher. So as long as you do that, you should be able to do it very nicely. So the biggest thing about this device right now is that out of the box, you are missing a very core part of it, and that's, I feel like almost any Android device needs to have the Google Play services or the Google experience. For me, I use Google Play services, or at least Google services, on a daily basis, mostly because of the YouTube channel that you guys are watching me on. I manage it on a daily basis from my device, and I need to have those type of services. I'm not talking Gmail, I'm not talking maps and stuff. I'm talking basically about YouTube Studio as well as the actual YouTube application. And those two things need to come directly from the Google Play Store, as well as the ability of being able to update those applications so that I have the latest and basically the best features there. So my initial impressions of the brand new Mate 30 Pro is obviously just very, very nice. The evolution that we got from the original Mate 20 over here are definitely very, very good. There is one thing that I wish they would have kept from the Mate 20 Pro, and that's the stereo speakers. It's not a big feature that would just make it or break it for me on a device, but when you're watching content, especially on a big device like this, in a basically good area by yourself, you want to be able to get that stereo experience, because right now you can definitely see that the sound is going away from you to the right, and you actually have to kind of cup the device for it to kind of emanate to you. Something that we haven't had to deal with Huawei as far as devices from them. Last year with the P20 Pro and the Mate 20 Pro, both gave us stereo speakers. So in 2019, a year later, we lost that. Although the fact, obviously, it does give us the ability of having a newer technology implemented. I hope we do get something back in there. As far as the Google Play Store, there are ways to get it on. There's not, if you Google it enough, you'll figure out a way to get the Google Play services installed, the Google Play Store, and then download it. As I showed you guys, that there is the other option you can also do is use the basically Amazon App Store. It has a lot of applications that will basically get you up and running. Facebook, WhatsApp, I think certain things that you definitely want to be able to use that you may not find in the app gallery. That's the other thing. App gallery has a lot of apps, but it doesn't cover everything in the Google Play Store. And I feel like the Amazon App Store does kind of fix it there. There are other app stores as well that you can download, definitely that are third-party apps that don't require background services that we're running like the Google Play Store requires. Right now, I'm working as far as giving you guys a camera review as well as a full review for this device, as well as any other kind of little videos that you'd like for us to cover. This is definitely running some of the latest and greatest specifications. We're talking the Kirin 990, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of internal storage, quad camera setup in the back, although 3 of them are camera, the third one is a sensor, the 3D sensor. We have a dual 40 megapixel sensor, and that obviously our YYB configuration gives us really good images even in low light. So that's really the benefit that we saw from the P30 Pro carrying over here. We don't have the periscope camera, but we definitely have the RYYB, which I think is the way forward for low light photography. And of course, we have the ability of having 4K at 60 frames per second finally on the back-facing sensor. Great experience. Gaming on this is absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait to see some more additional features added. The gesture functionality that I showed you right now, I feel like is very limited and is more of a gimmick, but I'm hoping to see some more functionalities. It's nice that they're adding additional things and making the notch functional, not just an aesthetical thing, because they stuck with the notch where almost every other device on the market is either dropping the notch in favor of a pop-up camera, a punch hole camera, or anything like that. And this is kind of feeling like almost supposed to be the standard, the gold standard, the Ferrari of all of Huawei devices. But it kept the notch, but again, it kept it very functional. Let me know in the comments below what do you guys think. Like and subscribe as usual. Thank you very much for the support. And hopefully you guys are intrigued and interested to see or find out more information about the brand new Mate 30 Pro.